Tēnā koutou katoa, anea ngāti Noe, ngāti Horana, ngāti Panama, ngāti Ingarihi, ngāti Wiwi, ngāti Amerika e mihi kao ana ki koto. I whanau mai au ki Amerika. Ko te tai te maunga e ru nei toku nakau. Ko waitaki te awa e mahia aku maharahara. Ko otatahi toku kainga e noho nei ao. E mihi ka tika ki na mana whenua, karanga nei wairua tapa ki roto nei, ko tangata tiriti aho, e roia takatunga mahi o Perryfield Lawyers, ko Steven Moe toko ingoa, no reira ngā mihi ki a koto katoa. It's so wonderful to be here. As was mentioned, I remember some phone calls in 2016 with a guy named Simon Greening, and we were just brainstorming, like, wouldn't it be great if we could gather some lawyers together, and what could that look like? So I feel, you know how some of you have children, see them grow up and what they become, and that's how I feel right now. Like, it's so amazing seeing you all here. And I'd like to share a little bit of my journey, and in doing that, I hope it will be helpful in your journeys, because nobody talked to me about some things 25 years ago when I was just starting out. And I have 3 questions. Who are you becoming? What factors will influence who that person is? And what are you building with your life? Who are you becoming? What factors will influence who that is? And what are you building with your life? So just a little bit, when you hear my accent, you will assume that I'm from America, or maybe you want to say Canada because you don't want to offend me. But actually, I'm from America. I was born in a place called Florida, grew up in California, but moved here when I was 7 years old. And I have actual evidence of that in the form of this publication. That's me, the little boy. This is from 1986 in the Otago Daily Times. And my father's a marine biologist, so he was brought in to raise salmon. So that's the reason for the title, Salmon Seen as Dollar Earner. It was a new industry. Nobody had done it before. So he came in as a marine biologist raising salmon. We were down on the Waitaki River near Oamaru, if anybody knows the area, a place called Papakayo. Very small, blink and you miss it place. So I grew up in rural New Zealand and then moved to Otatahi Christchurch, went to high school there, went to Canterbury University, and did my law degree. And at the end of my degree, I was thinking, what next? And so just so that you know my journey, I graduated and moved to Wellington, and I started working at one of the bigger firms, Russell McVeigh, and I was there for 3 years in their corporate commercial team. And I met my wife in Wellington, and we thought, she's from England originally, we thought, well, wouldn't it be good to go for 1 year OE? And you know what happened next, right? It became 11 years. But I worked for a law firm in London called Norton Rose Fulbright. That law firm has 8,000 employees and 55 offices or so, probably more since I've been gone. They're huge, one of the top 10 law firms in the world. So I'm just telling you this so you can get a sense of the background of who I am and why I'm sharing with you today. So I spent 3 years in the London office, and I'd lived in Japan before and speak some Japanese. So they said, you can go to the Tokyo office. So I was based in Tokyo for 4 years, doing mergers and acquisitions around the Asia Pacific, and then moved to the Sydney office, and I was there for 4 years. So I had 11 years all up in the international law firm. I've got 4 young children, and they came home singing a beautiful song. Do you know what it was? The Australian national anthem. So we thought, there's identity forming here. Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to stay here, or are we going to move back to Aotearoa? So that was now 10 years ago. And as I moved back, I realized this is the moment to reinvent my focus and what I'm looking at in my career. So having been working with banks, corporates, lots of big deals, lots of zeros at the end, I transitioned into, I call it for purpose. So I'm helping impact-focused clients. So that's lots of charities, but it's also a lot of companies, people who are about more than just the profit. They want to do some good. So yeah, joined Perryfield, where I had actually been a little tiny summer clerking, just like 3 weeks of work experience, way back in my second year. So it was really good to be able to go back to Christchurch, to Otatahi, and join them. So I just tell you that a little bit of my journey, and you can understand the context of who's standing here. That was 10 years ago, and we've now built up a team which is really focusing on impact and purpose. In the last year, we've helped set up probably about 50 charities, just to give a sense of the scale of what we're doing. There's about 15 people in the team now focusing on that, and about 100 in the law firm over all the different departments. So that's what I'm doing as a lawyer, but my encouragement to you is to think about the different hats that we all wear. So as well as doing that as a lawyer, I'm also involved in a number of different initiatives. So currently I'm on 14 different boards, which is quite a lot. One of them is called Community Finance. So that's a social housing initiative. We've now raised about $300 million for social housing in the last 4 years. So I'm the chair of that board, and the government has just come in to endorse what we're doing. I'm telling you these things not that you can go, wow, that's like a lot of different things. I'm saying, what is our role as lawyers within society? How do we use the skills and the knowledge that we have? How do we work as hard as possible to become the best versions of who we can be? So what I'm trying to do is, through my legal work, helping and supporting clients, but then also looking for other ways that I can do things. So some of you, if you came last year, I gave out this book, which is a little picture book called The Apple Tree, and that has paintings, pictures in it, and I wrote that to encourage people in what they do. So what I thought I would do today is, well, first of all, can you just reflect on this question? I'm going the wrong way. What hats are you wearing? What hats are you got on? You know, think about your work hat, family life, clubs, sports. There's many hats that each of us are wearing. And what I want to do is download some of the things that I've learned in my 25 years working as a lawyer, quite active, and share them with you. So in order to do this, I want you to imagine something. And I want it to be that you are walking down a path in a land that you have never been. And there's just no houses, nothing else. But you notice 3 people in the distance. And you're walking along, you come to the first person and you stop and you say, what are you doing? And the person says, well, I'm taking this brick here, and then I'm putting the brick over here, and then I'm taking that brick and I'm putting it on top. I'm just stacking these bricks. So you say, okay, thank you. You walk another 100 meters and there's another person. You say, what are you doing? And they say, oh, well, I'm building a wall. I'm putting all these bricks. I'm actually building a wall. You say, oh, thank you. You keep walking another 100 meters, another person, and you say, what are you doing? And this person says, I am building a cathedral. The perspective of the person has shifted from the mundane to the visionary. Now that story was told by a guy, you may or may not have heard his name. His name was Peter Drucker. Has anybody heard of Peter Drucker? He was a management guru. And his life story is fascinating. He lived to the age of 95. He was born in 1909, and his most famous book came out in the 1950s. And I often like to think about that. He was 45 years old when his most famous book came out, and then he had a whole career after that. So from age 45 to 95, I think he published like 50 or 60 books. But he told that story of the person walking along and observing the bricks being laid. And it reminded me of another story, and that is the cathedral, thinking of what are you building, the cathedral in Barcelona in Spain. Has anybody been to Barcelona? If you have, you might have gone to visit La Sagrada Familia, which means the Sacred Family. And the Sagrada Familia the first ground was broken in 1882. Okay, 1882. This is important. You'll see why. And in 1883, a new architect was chosen to come in. He was in his early 30s. His name was Antonin Gaudi. So you might have heard the term Gaudi-esque or Gaudi-inspired. So Gaudi got involved and started to design this cathedral, and it became something much more than a couple of roofs and walls. In fact, it became now, I believe, one of the most popular tourist spots in all of Europe. Millions of people come to see this particular church. So I got a photo from when we visited a couple years ago. This is from the hill looking down. You can see that is the church. It's like his vision was sand. You know, if you go to the beach and you pick up sand with water and it kind of drips and forms, that's what this building looks like. It's amazing. But do you notice something on this? I took this 2 years ago. What's different about this picture? It's still got some scaffolding. It's still got the thing, to pull the cranes. What's going on here? So Gaudi got involved in 1883. He worked on the building his entire life. Do you know when he died? 1926. And the church at that point was only 1/4 finished. So it has been generations of people. This photo, it's still being built. Still being built. They're estimating that they're going to try to get it done by 2026, the 100th anniversary of his death. This is a multi-generational project. This has taken countless numbers of people coming in to be able to work on it. This requires grand vision, intergenerational vision. This is some photos on the inside. It's absolutely spectacular. If you can go and visit, all of the pillars look like they're made of tree trunks. So you walk in and it's just spectacular, and all this stained glass window. I have this in my office. My office is full of interesting things, and that's kind of at the top of one of the spires. It's just an example of what it looks like. Broken pottery, all pieced together to make the colors and the shapes. So if you go to Barcelona, you should definitely go and visit this. And I think his signature probably outdoes everybody in the room, right? Like, it's just amazing. The mind, you can tell, was working there. So the reason I'm telling you this is I want to challenge you. What are you building with your life? What are each of us building with our lives? Do we have that vision of something that might not even be finished in our lifetime? Thinking beyond intergenerationally, you may not see what grows from the seeds that you plant today. That's a really challenging thought. So I've been working on different resources. Last year I gave out the resource on the left. It's a free download on the website, so go have a look. You can download it. But it's now become another resource called the Circle Careers with Impact. So there's a QR code there, but we will send out a link, I'm sure, afterwards. All of the insights in this little book come from the 25 years of working as a lawyer, but also come from this podcast I've done. Now there's been 458 interviews with inspiring people over the last 7 years. So every week I talk to somebody for an hour about their life stories. I've spoken with people you might have heard of, like Tatipene O'Regan, 2 hours with him. He's in his mid-80s now, talking about not treaty settlements, but instead his grandparents and the influence they had on his life. But also it's full of people that you've never heard of, because I think every person has a story. You just have to be curious and ask the right questions to unlock it. So that led to this other little resource called Seed Habits, which is also a download. And what I wanted to do was run through some principles that I think apply. And the reason I chose the metaphor of seeds is that they look like they're dead, right? Have you ever been gardening? Could this possibly become carrots? Surely not. You plant it and they grow. And I really love that image, that things that look like they're dead can become more than you expect. And I think that's the case for our lives as well, and using our talents, like was said before, using our talents for good as well. So I'm going to run through these 9 principles that I think are relevant and applicable for us all. It's going to be rapid fire, but I think that you'll find them helpful. The first one is the seed. What is the seed? Your purpose. I think you need to make this clear as it will lay the foundation for what else comes. So my question for all of us is, what are we striving for? What is it that at the end of our lives we'll look back and say, I did the very best I could? You know, what is it that is motivating us? What is your purpose? We do this all the time with companies or with organizations. You know, what's the vision statement? But have you ever done it with your life? Have you ever written down 3 bullet points? What am I here for? How do I express that? I want you to think about that. Hopefully something from this talk, you can go away and try that. So get clear, what is your purpose? Principle number 2 for habits, water, patience. Things take time. Now, I was so pleased that so many of you came who are students, because I want to encourage you to do your very best in your studies. Become the best version of who you can be. We're all becoming somebody. Who will that person be? If you were to meet yourself in 5 years or 10 years, are you going to be happy with the person that you're meeting? Or are you going to think, oh, they could have pushed a little bit harder? How many hours of Netflix are we all watching, right? I'm asking this of myself too. Where are we pushing ourselves to become the best version of ourselves? But these things do take time, so you have to be patient. Don't expect it to be, oh, now everything's sorted a week later or a month later. It's like running a marathon. If I asked all of us, right, we're going to go run a marathon right now, how successful do you think we'd be? Some of us probably pretty good, but probably most of us would struggle. But if we trained every day for the next 6 months, do you think we could do better? Probably. So it's about training and becoming the best version of yourself, knowing that it will take time for that to happen. Principle 3 is about the expectations and the long-term perspective. So this comes back to the Sagrada Familia, you know, building something that will take a really long time. Don't expect it to be instant. Principle 4, one of the guys I interviewed for Seeds was Michael Mail. So you may not know his name, but you've probably eaten a Cookie Time cookie before. So he founded Cookie Time. And he told me about the 2 failures of his businesses. They were absolute, did not work at all. But if he hadn't had those failures, he wouldn't have learned the skills to then have the success. So don't shy away from failure. Don't be afraid of not succeeding, because it will allow you, he called it the compost that allows success to come. So don't be afraid of trying things. Principle 5, heat, encouragement. Surround yourselves with the right people who will be on your side. I've heard different versions of this, but the fact that the 5 people we're closest to will have a profound influence on who we become. So those people that you're surrounding yourself with, are they calling you higher? Are they pulling you up? Or are they dragging you down? So objectively think about it. Who are you surrounding yourself? How can you surround yourself with people who will encourage you? Maybe you've met some of them today. Maybe you could get together, small group, encourage each other. Principle 6 is, I called it light, curiosity. I think we need to be curious in everything that we do. Every single person has a story. The receptionist has a story. The person cleaning the streets has a story. Every single person we can get to know, we can interact with, but also we can be curious. We can ask questions. I think it's really essential if you're developing really good habits. Principle 7, saying no. I need to learn this as well. What do you say yes to? What do you say no to? When you say yes to something, you're also saying no to other things. What I've learned is that I need to say yes to the things that will give me energy and bring me joy, and say no to the things that are not going to do that. Sometimes it's hard to know which is which. But also I've learned that sometimes I need to say no in order to free up opportunities for other people. So when you say no, make it a graceful no. Say, no, I can't join this committee. I can't join this board. But have you thought of this person? They would be great. use your abilities to open up opportunities for other people and shine the light on them. I was asked to speak at something in Wellington, and then my wife said she had just found out that my son is performing in a play at the same time on the same day. So it was like, this is important. I need to do this thing, but my son is more important. So I called the client and said, I can't do it, but can I find someone else who can? So someone else in my team is going to go do that. You're never as important as you think you are. So you need to look at opening up opportunities for other people to get in and have that opportunity. So I'm going to fly back go to my son's play. He's the lead role in a little play called Kaikora Jack, and I think he's the possum, right? He's 10 years old. So he's going to really enjoy that I made that choice to be there instead of thinking, it's an important thing, you know. So you get the principle. Say no. And then I think this one, creativity, the fruit that comes. Try to weave it into everything that you do. I just put out a paper last Wednesday called Nature as Shareholder. It's actually quite a philosophical paper. It's looking at what would it mean if nature itself was the owner of shares in a company. So in Aotearoa, we have the Wanganui River, Te Uruwera, Taranaki Manga, which have been given legal personhood. So what would it look like if those legal entities own shares of companies? So you're welcome to have it. It's a free download, easy to find. But as I was preparing it, I thought, how can I make this more interesting than a legal treatise on an obscure topic that, no one in the world has really written on this before? So I contacted an artist, a watercolor artist named Lily Duval, who wrote a book called Six-Legged Ghosts, all about the insects of New Zealand. And I said, can I pay you to get some of your illustrations and put it in my legal paper? And she said, sure, that's fine. So the paper is full of watercolor illustrations of insects of New Zealand. The front cover is a kahikatea tree. The point of this story is everything I do, I'm looking, how can I weave in creativity into this? It doesn't have to be your creativity. I couldn't do those watercolors, but I can shine the light on somebody who is able to do it. So look for creativity. How can you weave it in? And then principle 9, it's about the journey. It's not just about the destination. I think I didn't realize this until relatively recently. Like early in your career, you're always thinking, oh, if only I could be a senior solicitor. Ooh, if I could be a senior associate. Ooh, if I could make it into a special counsel. What if I was, you get what I mean. Like there's always something you're aiming for. But don't forget, it's about the journey to get to those places. It's not just about the destination. So enjoy your journey. Enjoy your life. I was chatting to Shamabil Yakub, who's an economist, and I was asking him, what's going on, Shamabil? How are you doing? And he said, I am having so much fun. And I thought, what a great response. Like he's a busy guy. He's on TV. He's moving around. He said, I'm having so much fun. Can you say that about your life? Can you say you're really enjoying what you're doing, that you're having fun? Look for the sweet spot, the things that you really enjoy. All right. So that is the 9 principles that have influenced me. And Alex and I were talking, I just wanted to download these as habits that you also could instill into your life, that you could be proactive about who you are becoming. And then at the end of it all, who are we doing things for? Get your motivations right. So these are the people that I care about, and I care about their opinion more than any of you or any client or anybody else. Because if my 4 children don't see me present in their lives, then I will not have been successful. So I have to make choices purposefully to carve out time to spend with them. They're now in their teenage years. How can I come alongside and be present with them? I don't want in 20 years' time for them to say, you provided for our family, but I never really knew you. So I'm proactively making a decision that these young people are my priority. So I challenge you, some of you don't have kids yet, but one day, how will you be present with your children? Particularly as lawyers, it's a very big temptation for that to be all the time. How will you put it aside and spend time with them? I spent time last weekend with my son Isaac. This is his little airplane, the Spitfire airplane, because he dressed up for book day. A book is Grandpa's Great Escape by David Walliams, and there's a grandpa in it, and he flies an airplane. And so he said, I want to build an airplane, Dad. So we spent, can I say this took many hours? And I'm very proud of it. But that is just cardboard boxes and duct tape pulled together and painted. And apparently he went on Wednesday and he won the best book character of the day. So that is going to be a core memory for him that I took the time to build something with him. So don't forget, get your priorities right. Remember what's important. What is your value? What is your purpose? So that's really what I wanted to share. I'd like to encourage you to get out your phone if you're willing, because I'm also on something called the Theology of Work board. It's an international group which is looking at developing resources for lawyers, and I would love to have some test users. There will be no cost involved, but there will be material that we can run through and see if you like as a little course. So you can enter if you're interested in being involved in that, because it's something that I would really love to develop and roll out for law students, lawyers, thinking about career and what do I do and how does it all fit together. So I hope that that's been helpful. I wanted to finish, actually I'll read back those 3 questions because I think it's really important. Who are you becoming? What factors will influence who that is? And what are you building with your life? So this is a quote that was in the cathedral, and I just thought it was really great, very relevant. To do things right, first you need love, then technique. And that's by the architect of that church. So let's not forget, in everything that we do, let's make love the core, the reason that's motivating us to then do our legal work or whatever it is that we do. So I hope that's helpful. There's some little cards on the seats. That's the podcast I do called Seeds. And on the back side is Board Matters. You're welcome to subscribe. It's a word-of-mouth thing. If you're able to tell people, it would be greatly appreciated. So thanks for the chance to share with you. I hope it's helpful. And you're welcome to contact me. I have a commute every day. I'm happy to talk to people if you need input or thoughts about your own career as well. So I'll hand back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steven. That was absolutely fantastic. And like always, a really interesting presentation and your contribution.